What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 100. We're at the 100th episode of Convos in the Pedicab. I'm here with my friend Kevin Reed. He's the bar manager at Halycon. I'm really excited for this episode. I feel like there's going to be a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
With a lot of stuff. It's going to be this is going to be very interesting. I'm really happy to be doing this. There's a lot of crazy shit that's going on, and it's good to, put it into context.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
happy to have you.
Nice to have a conversation. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm excited. So you are from Arizona, right? This is your first time in a
Big city, yeah. I'm from like a place of like 8,000. That's where I lived for like the first 22 years of my life. Decided if I never left, if I didn't leave then I'd probably never leave. So, and I moved over on to Austin.
How old are you?
I just turned 24 in May.
Dude, happy birthday! And you have and you're in real estate. You own like some property. What do you own?
I own a little piece of land and whatnot. So I had a good run when I was a little bit younger. So I wanted to come have fun in Austin.
So you're doing you've done a lot.
I've done some things, yeah, for sure. I'd say so.
That's what's up. So you did this from when did you start getting into real estate? Because you're 24 and you own a bunch of land. Did you go to college? What's up?
Yeah, I think I got. I went to community college.
Okay.
I was gonna transfer to university, and then I had a kind of a mentor of mine present me with doing real estate with her. She'd bring me on as her first agent, and then by the time I left, she had moved 2 buildings, bigger building. It had about 8 agents on, so I was there from the infancy. Kind of just trusted her and trusted myself to do something and start making money right away, as opposed to going to college and having somebody tell me what I needed to know in order to make money. So.
And then you are wind up in debt, and you got a chance to avoid that.
Yeah, absolutely, I did.
How do you feel about the student loan crisis and people's and the possibility of student debt forgiveness?
Man, I don't know. I think that if you sign up for something, then you kind of sign up for something. But I kind of have an anti-view on college altogether, honestly. I think that there's a lot of knowledge in the world. I think YouTube's amazing. I think learning with other people, hands-on learning. I think college is great for surgeons and stuff, right? I mean, if you got to cut somebody open, you should probably
go to college.
Go to college for it.
All right, dude, you're on the exact same page as me.
Cool.
You literally are. So I think that there's a big problem with the banking industry and the media and the education industry kind of working very side by side with each other. Also, the U.S. government to try to scare children into taking out these monster loans that they can never pay back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really glad that you said that, because that is how I feel about the education system as a whole. I think that there's a big concerted effort of a lot of big institutions to scare children into taking out loans that they'll never ever pay back.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when an adult files bankruptcy or a certain chapter, the one debt that isn't forgiven is student loan debt forgiveness.
You are 1,000% correct.
Yeah, and I think that says everything that it needs to, right? I mean, if the one thing the government's not willing to give back is the money that's going back into these large institutions that have been around forever.
Yeah, and it's the government that lends out the money. It's not the universities.
Yeah, you're right.
So when the government lends out the money, the university
back.
Gets to jack up its prices exponentially, because they don't have to worry about they have no risk at all.
Yeah.
They didn't lend anything out to you. They just get the money back. And then the government gets interest. No, actually they get the money back at interest, and the government also winds up getting interest as well. And even if they don't, you're just jacking up the prices to whatever level you want with no end in sight.
Yeah.
I used to be a substitute teacher.
Really?
Yeah. So I substitute taught in Austin for a bit, and I also substitute taught right before COVID in Hayes.
Okay.
And I remember it was Lehman High School or something, and there was all these 14-year-old Mexican kids that were in my class.
Mm-hmm.
And they were pretty poor, from working class backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
And they got this worksheet, and in the worksheet it said hey, college graduates earn $1 million more in their lifetime more than non-college graduates. And so I usually never really paid much attention to what the kids were doing, as long as they were quiet.
Yeah.
I'm here's your worksheet. Just don't make it look like I'm bad at my job, and we're gonna have a great
for sure.
day.
Yeah.
But I saw this, and it really hit a nerve, right? And so I proceeded to tell them about how student loans were a scam, and how that information isn't true, and how the guy who cleans the toilets at your school makes more money than most of the teachers at your school.
Very
and
true.
when you take out a student loan, there's nothing you could you that will never get. You have to pay it back, and there's no way that they'll forgive that debt in any capacity, and I went off on them. And you get interest, so you could take out $20,000 in student loans,
Pay a whole lot more back.
and then by the time you're done, you paid $70,000 or $90,000 back. Why would you want to do that unless you're sure about what you want to do? And then I was like, asked them, like, so what do you guys want to do when you grow up? Y'all know. Do y'all want to go to college? And they, a bunch of them raised their hands, like, what do you guys want to be when you grow up? Do you guys know? Oh, so you don't know? So you're gonna take out a loan for $80,000, $100,000, whatever, $50,000 at the most if you go to state school, with no ability to pay that money back? Does that sound smart? So I went off. Like, I had a whole lecture with these kids about that.
What age group was this?
They're like 14, 15 years old. Like,
yeah. And that's the age too when school counselors and everybody's really pushing down on college, really trying to drive home the message of, what are you gonna do after this? What are you gonna do after this?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it's a huge disservice to a lot of people, and I think it creates a lot of debt. And I also think that because of that system, a lot of unnecessary departments kind of get put into the university.
Yeah.
And you were saying like earlier, if you want to be a surgeon, if you want to be a physical therapist, if you want to be a doc, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a lawyer, okay, you have to go to college.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah.
Right? But there's a lot of stuff you could learn just on YouTube. You can literally download lectures from MIT on YouTube and listen to them.
Yeah, for sure.
So college almost seems like it's getting close to becoming a pretty outdated way as a measurement of skill.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of like identity politics departments in universities that I feel only exist because of this student loan scheme. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. If that makes
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think there's a lot of definitely there's like a saturation level in degrees now, and there's some degrees out there. I have a friend that went to college, and she just graduated recently from the university. I don't want to comment on the specifics of her degree necessarily.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I don't know her name, so you can say what the degree is. It doesn't matter.
I think something in like I don't know, like some kind of gender studies degree. Which is great. I mean, for me, if her goal was the knowledge and like to learn more knowledge on it and to use that strictly for that, then by all means go ahead. But I know once she departed from college and got the degree, I believe she's actually now re-entering school to go into nursing because there just was not work for that degree. And I'm not sure how much of debt is attached to her situation or whatnot, but that was an instant of me truly knowing a friend who's the same age of me go and spend all this time on this degree and then really not be able to utilize it.
So what I'm saying though is that like, well, in order to cut costs of this stuff, you might need to in order to cut college costs, you also got to cut like wasteful spending on programs that don't help people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And like gender studies, as stereotypical as it sounds, some of those programs should not really exist in the university system.
Yeah. I could agree to that, actually. I could agree.
Just because that raises the cost of tuition for everybody, and the people that it affects most are the people who wind up are probably most of your friends at Halycon who are behind the coffee shop and behind the bar, because you're probably an outlier of of workers at your spot that's like financially healthy and solvent and independent and able to do what they want to do with their own money.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like you might be an outlier compared to what your coworkers are.
Yeah, to the majority, yeah. I'd say there's a few of us that have our shit together better than the others, and the rest are, kind of living in the young person, college age, trying to survive, type thing. So
yeah, so that's my take on it. So I think it's like, it's one of those things where it's like you got people from how I figure it. I don't like to do left-right political paradigms, but like for this conversation, you got a lot of people on the left that complain about like college is too high. We got to forgive the student loans. We got to do this, and that, right? I'm like, okay, well, can we get rid of some of these like feminist, gender studies, identity politics departments? We should get rid of them completely. And how do you think they'd react?
I think there'd be an uproar. I think the reaction would be exactly what you probably think it would be. But I've actually never heard that point before, and it makes a lot of sense. That if you were to cut down on some programs throughout the unit as a whole, right, then there would be more money to invest in the programs that you really do need college for, or really need intensive learning for. So it's interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have to spend as much money, because a big reason why they jack up the prices is because, well, now we get to hire new people for these new departments.
Absolutely,
and my best friend or the lady from the country club, her son really is interested in this, or her daughter's really interested in this. Like, let's give them let's create a department. Let's create this. Let's create that, and it just becomes like a big money. It just becomes a big money making scam. And I think a lot of people. I think more people need to be open opened up to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I
if
agree.
I were to say, hey man, we should cut like the gender studies programs and like the identity politics programs, like the feminist literature programs, or some of these, you know, some of these things, right? Like, I'd be labeled like a bigot if I said that.
Yeah.
And I think that should be talked about, right? Because it doesn't necessarily mean any of that. If you really like, you know, boil down why you think that should occur.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that I don't think that you're necessarily a bigot or trying to cause a big reaction by saying that or thinking that. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like even back in the day, I think a lot of these things that have turned into gigantic programs and degrees used to just be electives, you know what I mean? And an elective here and an elective there. I know that even some degrees still require humanities and different sects of knowledge. And so I think there's a place for these things.
You should definitely never get rid of humanities, because humanities allow you to be a well-rounded person.
Absolutely, I agree. So
and college was actually originally designed to study for... Colleges were originally designed by the wealthy to study classics and humanities.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, most of my favorite classes were sociology classes, different humanity classes. So I think there is a place and a time to learn these things and an environment to learn these things. But like you said, I don't know if somebody really needs to spend X amount of money on a whole degree, basically outlining all the things that you could find in free knowledge in books and YouTube, you know, all these things that a lot of these degrees, like, you know, gender studies or women in gender studies, or even I think there's queer studies now. It's like the information's out there, you know what I mean? It's out there and it's readily available.
Yeah, and I also think people are way more accepting now than they
totally,
were
yeah.
like 10 years ago.
I would agree to that, yes. Yeah.
So you're a member of the community.
I am, and I've been wondering about this shirt.
Oh,
the whole
shirt,
time.
yeah. Those are my pronouns. You know, in Joe Biden's America, you could be whatever you want to be.
I think the goal of America,
you could identify as whoever you want
to be whoever you want to be.
Yeah, and so I choose to identify as a vaccinated person who's gotten 3 shots and 4 boosters, even though I haven't gotten any.
That's interesting. Yeah. I actually work with a handful of trans individuals at Halycon, and they've definitely educated me a lot, shared with me. And so I will say, moving from a small town to here, that's probably been the biggest growth in my mind, is probably the issue of trans rights and trans individuals and their existence.
We're gonna bring all that shit up. Actually, I'm glad you segued into this.
Yeah.
You want to hear something kind of interesting?
Sure.
Not a single member of not a single trans person has ever talked shit to me about this shirt. The only people who have talked shit to me about this shirt are like white straight leftists, and it's been like 2 people.
I would say, based off of the individuals I know in my life that are trans, a lot of them really aren't up for the fight or really feel the need to point something out to you like that when it's their existence. They live it day to day, you know what I mean? So I could see who that shirt might upset, and I could see who would mention it to you, and I could see why trans people themselves are not comfortable even acknowledging
I could see it, but I don't see this shirt being offensive or insulting to anybody. It's literally... It's a goofy looking shirt with a needle and a rainbow, making fun of the fact that you could literally identify as anything you want to identify, and then you have this culture that preaches acceptance, love, and tolerance to everybody, except if you didn't want to get the Pfizer shot.
Yeah, for sure. I guess
so that's my take on it, right?
Yeah,
so
I guess for me, like trans rights and like
obviously, if I'm like a transphobic, bigoted person, I wouldn't even be going to Halcyon, giving Halcyon money and spending time in that area if I actually felt like that way, right?
For sure. I guess
that's my
I guess in life for me, it's like a little take and give sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? I believe everybody has the right to their opinion and their viewpoint. Obviously, you're unapologetically you, which I personally think is pretty cool. I like that.
I like that you're unapologetically you too. I think that's great.
For sure. But sometimes, like when I see a shirt like that come into the environment of Halcyon, it's more or less like, I completely think it's cool that you completely have, you know, your own thoughts and your rights to think that way and your opinions. For me, though, it's like going into a space like that, the shirt does nobody that's working there any favors. And I know it does make a handful of people uncomfortable. So I guess it's a take and give in my mind. Like, you know what I mean?
All right, I respect what you got to say.
Yeah, for sure.
I respect it. I was going to offer you, I was going to ask you your size.
Give me a spin with the shirt? Yeah.
But that's cool. I mean, I get it.
I guess my trans issues and my issues with vaccination and big pharma and whatnot are kind of in 2 separate areas in my life right now, and I don't combine them as one thing, you know. So I believe in getting the point of the vaccinations across, but maybe not at the hands of offending the trans community. So that'd be my take on it.
I never really thought of it as something that would offend anybody, but we'll agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
You know, we'll agree to disagree on this one.
That's my favorite thing.
Anyway, what was I going to talk about? So you're talking about the trans issues. Like, what kind of issues specifically?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, just
Like what kind of specifically what kind of issues are you
I guess before
saying that you didn't know about?
I guess before I moved here, even as a gay man, I often would find myself telling people that the issue of sexual orientation and gender identity were two different things, and I don't know anything about the other one, so I don't even know how I could support that or be involved about it.
What do you mean? Like,
so when I was living back in a small town, I used to basically take the route of I'm a gay man, not a trans individual. I really don't know anything about it, and I'm probably just as confused as you are. And so I used to not support. Honestly, I used to not really support the trans community.
Why would you not support them? What is that? Was that?
Because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand them.
But you could just not. Like,
exactly.
But,
Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. You said you didn't support, but you just not support because you just didn't care and it was just not with part of your life? Because if it's just not part of your life and it's just not related to what you're going through, it doesn't mean you're not supporting them. It just means that you're just like living your own life and doing your thing.
Correct. I would guess it'd be a little bit of that, and then a little bit of I probably used to say some negative things about the trans community as well, being a gay man living back in a small town.
Why?
I would say it was ignorance.
But like why? Like what would you say and why would you say it? Like at the time, like what were you thinking when you would say it? I'm just asking,
I can't recall in details. I just know that when the topic would get brought up amongst people that were not, gay or LGBTQ of that community, that I would join in on the conversation and join in on that's weird. I don't understand it. I don't know how they could live like that. I don't get the concept. Right? I used to look at it as a concept. I don't get the concept. And so I was very negative about it. And it was moving here that I actually learned quite a bit.
I know I've seen some like the Chappelle stuff.
For sure.
He'll make like some comments about it.
Yeah.
And there was also a trans chick that I used to pedicab with. Her name was Sarah.
Okay, cool.
And she was like balls deep into conspiracy theories also, which is kind of funny also. You know what I mean? But like so I remember what Dave Chappelle would say is like, it's like maybe the gay hopefully I'm saying this right, but it was like the gay community would be like kind of feel like this trans community is like stealing their thunder or stealing their spotlight. Do you know what I mean? And then like Sarah, the trans pedicab driver would say that the people that give us the most hate are the actual gay community.
Yeah. Because
they think that we are taking up all their we're kind of swallowing their movement.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I would say, and that actually ties back into I think kind of the moment where my perspective changed, and it was that moving here, I wanted to experience being more queer, doing more things to where I didn't want necessarily an audience for what I was doing. So back home, I dressed a little more conservatively. It was all in my own head, but I dressed more conservatively. The activities I did were different. So moving here, I really wanted to enjoy a little more freedom, being a young man and being,
you want options, right? Because you're in a town where you're probably like only a small you and a small handful of gay people. You want to go out. You want to enjoy yourself. Like you're trying to go out to the club, dude. You're trying to do.
I want to see the magic. I want to feel the magic, right? and so coming here, I found that magic, and it wasn't. And I learned quickly that being queer and enjoying that magic takes a lot of guts sometimes, and takes a lot of balls to literally. Well, that's an outdated term, but
you can say no. What do you mean it's not outdated?
Yeah,
you're allowed to say it's the truth.
For sure, but it takes a lot of guts to go out there and live how you want to live and present how you want to present and do what you want to do. And I learned quickly that the reason gay people even exist and gay people are here and have rights and have a lot of these freedoms was because of early trans pioneers. And so I'd say that start to finish, it was really me going from, I don't understand this at all, to realizing that the reason I was able to enjoy Austin and be in Austin and live as who I want to be and do what I want to do.
Wait, can you say that again, though? Because I didn't even know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first fights for queer rights, was like even Stonewall was.
What it was like drag queens like having shows and stuff in secret
drag
areas,
queens,
getting
black trans women,
and they'd be getting busted up by the cops and all
truly
that.
Busted
up,
like truly.
They'd be getting their fucking asses. Yeah, they'd be getting their asses.
So people don't know. People don't really know hardship now. There is hardship and there is suppression, but I mean, man, the things that some of them were getting back in the day, like they were literally losing their lives just so I could be here in Austin today.
To do whatever you want. But here's what's crazy though, is that a lot of people in your age range, right?
Yes.
And maybe like if you have older brothers or older cousins in that age range, right, between your and my age range, really don't understand that. And so people will sit around thinking that like Donald Trump supporters are the most homophobic, bigoted, racist, disgusting people you'll ever meet, without ever reading a history book and understanding that in the 1950s, what you experienced was normalized. And probably the majority of people right now who voted for Trump or like are conservative on about all this stuff, like would probably have nothing even against that community as a whole, because they're just trying to focus on their own lives and they just don't care.
I would agree that nowadays it's not as much of a prevalent issue, and I hope that it continues getting to the point where people want to focus on their own lives exclusively. You know what
I think that the way our society is being pushed with a lot of that stuff, I think it's gonna set things backwards instead of having things move forward.
What do you mean?
So aside from like the COVID lockdowns and
Yeah.
like the mandatory vaccination stuff and all the shit that kind of went down with COVID, I think that like some of like how they're going about teaching children in schools is extremely dangerous. Like with all the like a lot of the wokeism, like having drag queens go into schools that like and teach the 8-year-old kids how to put makeup on when like a bunch of kids can barely read. I think that type of stuff, or like giving children like. Listen, man, I'm not transphobic or bigoted, and I don't think you should bully trans people. Like, I'm saying that right off the bat, right?
Okay.
But I also don't think you should be giving puberty blockers or hormones or any of that type of stuff to children, and then you shouldn't give that stuff to people until they're old enough to really make their own decisions.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I kind of echo those sentiments. I just don't know how a parent and a child come to the decision to bring medicine into it in an early age.
Well, you just don't do that. You just say that's illegal. You don't do it until you're 18 years old. But if your kid says like, "Hey, I want to wear a dress to school," or "I want you to call me this," and XYZ, it's like, okay, cool. Well, we're fine with that. We just don't want you to put anything in your body until you get to a certain age where your body and your brain are fully developed enough where you can know for a fact that this is what you actually want to do. And if your childhood becomes a little harder as a result of that, okay, cool. Then I guess, cool. Well, I guess the worst part of your life is your childhood. That means the rest of your life is going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Right? If that makes sense? Like, that means you can only go up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I agree with you mostly on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. Yeah. I think, and like you said, if a kid wants to wear a dress, any kid of any gender wants to wear a dress, express himself this way, do that, I think that's totally cool. Do what you want. I think that things such as simple as clothing really doesn't have a place on a man or a woman or anything in between. It's all differed throughout the decades and the centuries anyways of what's considered,
Men used to wear wigs.
High status
aristocratic men used to wear
Absolutely.
long wigs and dress extremely effeminately
Absolutely.
back in the day. So yeah.
I don't give a rat's ass about that, and I think it sounds like you're on the same page. But yeah, when it comes to doing things that could that do have an effect on your body and potentially a permanent effect on your body, I don't know where the answer lies for when that should be done, but I know I enjoy as an adult making decisions for myself.
Yes, when you're a grown up. It should be done when you when you're legally able to vote, when you're legally able to have your
because then if there are repercussions, it can't fall back on anyone but yourself, right?
Yeah, and then when it comes to taking out student loans, it's like, here's the other thing too, right? And it's like the student loan forgiveness argument is such that, dude, these people are only 18. They didn't even know what they were doing, and now they took a loan out. Then they're going to be financially enslaved for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, you can go put a bunch of hormones that change you forever when you're 6.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't add up. Like, it doesn't tie in with one another, and it negates a lot of arguments. Like, specifically the student loan forgiveness argument.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah. It does.
Like, it just negates a lot of like stuff that people on the progressive left seem to want to do. A lot of this identity politics and a lot of this wokeism and a lot of this other shit that's happening, it negates what they want to do. So I talk a lot, like, I'm very like opposed to that type of ideology. And some people might construe it with like, oh, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, you're this, you're that. But I'm like, no, dude, that's not true at all. Like, I really don't care about any of that stuff. Like, I think people should be happy expressing who they are, however they want to do it, as long as you're not hurting children.
Yeah.
And as long as you're not like destroying the United States or whatever, pretty much, right? Like, and a lot of this stuff, a lot of this wokeism is literally being served as like a banana. It's like a banana peel in Mario Kart to trip these people over when they're trying to actually get to where they want to get.
I like that. Yeah, I would say that I would say the wokeness movement, whatever it is, it's become a lot. It's got a lot. It's kind of to a boiling point where it's like I mentioned to you today, like even previously, I was nervous to come on here because I'm nervous almost in a sense that like my own opinion that belongs to me and that I own is going to be used against me by people because they feel as though I should be feeling a different way or aligning with them, which actually, when you think about it, is silly, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
because part of the whole movement of actually being accepting means that you got to accept people being their own entity, and you know, it's not right that you have to be pigeonholed into having a certain set of opinions because you're part of a community. You should be able to have whatever opinions you want. Like,
I agree.
I have friends who are like super fucking MAGA'd out, right? Like MAGA, like up here
and same
far to the
here,
right.
yeah, and same
here.
here.
Like, I should be able to say that maybe it's okay. Maybe like it's okay that a woman has the right to get an abortion. Like, I should be able to say that and not be shunned by a community because I have an opinion that disagrees with them.
Or they've painted a whole picture of you based off of one opinion. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I should be able to say that maybe we should forgive some student loans. Like,
yeah.
You know, and even like there's a bunch of far right politicians, that agree with that. Like, there's this guy named Blake Masters who's running for Senate in Arizona, and he's talking about forgiving student loans, but saying that the colleges should be the ones who should be liable, not you.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Right? And like Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, mentioned some stuff, and his press secretary brought stuff up like that along similar veins. But when people don't want to compromise, when they don't want to listen to someone because they're being labeled as far right, that's toxic. That doesn't solve problems. Like, that just makes problems bigger.
I agree. Compromise is the answer. It really is. And I think the internet. Plays a big problem with that as well. Like you said, the woke movement and all these movements and all this cancel culture and all this stuff. It exists because it ferments and just multiplies on the internet. But every time I've sat down and had a real conversation with somebody, as different as they are, or as similar as they might be, or as different backgrounds, I've never not left the conversation with something to take from it, knowing I also gave them something to take from it, and they did. If you find somebody willing to just sit down and just chill and have an honest conversation, take a little from you, give a little there, not paint these pictures, not have these predisposed ideas of what somebody is or what somebody should be, I guarantee you'll learn something, and they will too. And there's just not enough of that good, wholesome conversation happening nowadays.
Dude, I feel the same way, man. And this podcast has probably prevented me from getting like super radicalized about a bunch of shit too.
Cool.
So yeah, no, that's why I try to have a diverse guest list and try to talk to everybody, because I know that it's scary, man.
It is scary.
It's scary.
Times are so scary right now.
It's scary. I had this thing happen to me with this news reporter.
Yeah.
Right. And like I got a lot of hate for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said it's like a bunch of times, right? I don't really apologize for what I said because the corporate media, for better, generally speaking, is trash.
Yeah.
And if you work for these people, generally you are facilitating that, and you are an agent of this. You're basically an agent of this establishment.
I agree.
That does not want what's best for you in any capacity. That actually wants the opposite. And in order to actually really change society in the right type of way, you can't really come after the heads of these institutions because they're sociopaths and they don't care. So you got to come after the people that are kind of doing the bidding of them, which is usually news reporters.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of my So it's like, I got nothing personal against the person behind the camera, but it's like, you know, if you can, you want to disincentivize as many people to want to facilitate this as much as possible, is where I'm at with that, right?
Yeah.
And if it comes across like I'm an asshole or I'm like making fun of this person, like mental illness and whatever, you know, it is what it is, but that's not the intent, you know?
Wasn't the intent.
Yeah.
People don't consider intent enough nowadays. And I actually used to say that quite frequently. I'm like, you have to realize that not everybody's going to be your cup of tea, how they explain something, how they go about life, but man, you have to stop every once in a while and know, what is the intent? What is their goal? Is it malice? Are they really trying to do bad to me or do bad upon me?
No.
Probably not.
No. And it's like there's two goals, right? It's like maybe you want to bring attention to some issues, and also you want to get more clicks and views on your page so that you can get more traction where people know who you are. Like there's two, there's always multiple sides to everything, right? And you should be open about it.
Yeah.
But what were we talking about? We were talking about the media being in hot water.
Yep,
compromise. We were saying something and I totally just went off and I forgot what we were saying.
I'm right there with you. We could swing back around to Big Pharma though.
Let's swing around to Big Pharma.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I think I am definitely an outlier amongst my coworkers and probably a big, probably the whole street I work on, honestly, in regards to some recent developments. So yeah.
Do you want to share?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I am not vaccinated as it stands till this date. The thing is, and this goes back to kind of the conversation we're touching on, it's not like I'm this big anti-vaxxer where I'm like, vaccines are killing everybody and they're causing deformities and they're causing autism. Like, that's not my stance at all. I just, at the time, as a 23, 22-year-old man, didn't find it necessary to inject myself with this vaccine, and I kind of wanted to chill back and see how it affected other people, see how it went. And as time has gone on, and I've had COVID a couple times, I'm kind of good, and I'm healthy, and I'm fine, and I don't find the necessity to go and obtain this vaccine now. The flip side of that, though, is if people I worked with knew that, I think that they would really tear me up, and they'd really have a problem with it. But it was my individual freedom to make.
Right,
so
and it's your choice.
It's my choice.
And if people are gonna tear you up and judge you and say all this stuff about you, like that's just gonna radicalize. That just makes people go right. Like that just makes people go more to the right.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So and like you said, choice. Like I am a believer of I am pro-choice when it comes to abortion. I'm pro-choice when it comes to injecting myself with whatever vaccine or taking whatever medicine is in front of me. Like, I believe in the individual self so much, and I enjoy my individual freedoms and my train of thought and my ability to make these decisions for myself. I take pride in it, and I take comfort in it.
Dude, I agree with you. I think that I fully agree with you, and I think that you're probably not the only person in your community
Probably not.
that feels this way. You might just be the only person right now who is comfortable enough to say it out loud.
For sure. I like to think that as well.
Because I think if you really sat down and talked to people at Halycon, I don't think many of these people would say that, hey, you guys, you need to show a digital passport of your health status to go into a restaurant or a bar. I don't think most people want that.
Yeah.
I think that's very dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree on that.
I had some vaccine issues when I was a child.
Okay.
So I struggled with like a bunch of learning disabilities as a kid and like had developmental problems, and they started manifesting right when I got my MMR shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been skeptical about it because of having a personal experience.
Sure.
And I also am skeptical about how they try to schedule these vaccines. And you also see there's been a sharp rise in mental illness and all that stuff. And it's correlating, whether it's caused or not is another story, but people are required to take more pharmaceutical medications.
Yeah.
And now there's a bigger rise in mental illness. We also have people are spending more time in front of screens. There's more social media.
Yeah.
There's more toxic stuff that they're exposed to. So all that plays a role, but it does make you think.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yeah. Why is it there? Why is it growing so fast? And
why?
Who's profiting off of all of this?
Yeah, exactly. Who's profiting? Why is it growing so fast? Why is this happening? And also the idea of having to show a digital passport of your health or anything. To have to show a digital identification to be able to sit and eat somewhere or buy or sell groceries or do anything, vaccine or not, is something that nobody, no matter where you are, what side of the political aisle you are, what you believe in, who you sleep with, what surgeries you've gotten, everybody should be opposed to that.
Yeah.
Everybody should be opposed to that. I think people on the right do a bad job of including...
That's a slippery slope otherwise.
Yeah,
you know what I
dude,
mean?
I think people on the right
slope.
do a really bad job of including people who are different from them because I feel like most people agree with what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If someone was actually sit down and think of that and the repercussions to follow from opening that can of worms of allowing your health and your body and your personal history to be public knowledge, you know what I mean, or knowledge of a restaurant or a business because that's their requirement and that's allowed. I think that is a very dangerous, slippery slope, and I feel like that is the complete opposite of personal freedom.
Well, and it's also the complete opposite of love, tolerance, and acceptance.
Absolutely. Come as you are, right? Not
Yeah.
as we need you to be.
Exactly. And so when I saw a lot of people who are like on the far left and people with the rainbows and the pronouns in their bio and all that stuff, all of a sudden shilling for vaccine passports,
Yeah.
that's not good for your community, bro.
Yeah.
That's really bad for your community. That is really bad for your community.
Oh yeah, it goes back into like identity politics, and people they get grouped into the they might have one belief that or one identity to themselves or just who they are, and they get pushed over here, and then it becomes a take everything over here. I just gotta take it all. I gotta support it all, and it becomes people are just so grouped on side one side or the other, when there's literally a contrast of people by the millions in between all of that, and it's just why do you count yourself out? Why do you shorten yourself? Like, do you not believe in yourself to have enough? To enjoy having differing views and differing experiences all the time? Like, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself not to group yourself with other people's predetermined ideas.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Did you think people on the right would accept you for being you?
They have up until this date. Every time I've talked to somebody or back home, people I know, meeting new families, meeting parents, friends' parents, meeting friends' boyfriends, Everybody's loved Kev because Kev is a pretty cool person.
Yeah, I think you're pretty cool. Yeah.
And I always lead with being Kev, not with being a gay man, not with having this viewpoint or this viewpoint. But as, you know, the night goes on or the days go on or the weeks go on and they're around me and conversation ensues, I welcome those conversations, but it still doesn't necessarily define who Kev is. I guarantee you've already figured out who Kev is before we jump into these very exclusive conversations.
I agree. And it's good. I mean, I just want to know, like, if you've actually, like, experienced any kind of, like, bigotry or discrimination or any kind of, like, hate because of, like, how you are and whatnot.
I mean, nothing that I would cry over or nothing that I would write home about.
Right, some guy may have talked shit to you and said a bad word to you,
yeah,
and then you're like, oh, you're drunk, whatever, you go home. Yeah.
There's people out there facing a lot worse things than me, and I am considered, I consider myself blessed, and I have it pretty well, so nothing I'd cry about.
I'm a Jew, dude. I'm a press too, bro. I get it. I get it, bro. I get it.
What about you? Do you feel as though you get a lot of flack and hate in this city for existing within, you know, for being you? Or do you feel like you can handle it as well? It's nothing that...
So far, I can handle it. I think generally speaking, if you're yourself and you do things in good faith.
Good intent, yeah.
Yeah, if you do things genuinely speaking in good faith and you don't try to hurt other people to get where you are. And if you treat the people that love you the way they deserve to be treated.
Yes.
And you don't step on people to try to get ahead. If you have the right values, I think everything kind of works out. Yeah, there probably have been some people that don't want to be my friend anymore because of my stance on lockdowns, or because of my stance on mandates, or because of all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sure, but I've also like figured out who my people are.
That's a good point.
I've actually probably walked away making more friends and having more meaningful discussions and connections with people now than I had in the past. You know, I was talking about this, like, you know how many death threats and bad messages I got on Twitter as a result of, like, that whole news conversation?
No. How
Zero.
Many? Zero?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Zero.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think that says something,
that
right?
That does say something,
like,
yeah.
Nobody comes up to me and, like, says threatening things to me or says mean things to me. Most people come up to me, they're like, dude, I like your podcast. I like what you're into. I like what you're about. Or at the very least, people will just ignore me and they won't say anything.
And that works, right? But like you said, I like that you mentioned that you kind of, you know, figured out who your people were. Because for me, I have a very wide variety village of friends that I love, that I consider family, that I've built in Arizona. Some are in Virginia now, some in Hawaii, this and that. And we don't always agree on things. And we actually have very differing opinions on a lot of issues. But one of the things I know is that if I was ever to go back to them and disagree on a current world issue, no matter how extreme it might be and how crazy they might find it that I disagree with them, it would never be a case of, okay, I'm done with you. I'm cutting out. You're blocked, right? You're blocked on Facebook. You're off my friends list. They would want to know why. They'd be like, okay, Kev, like, interesting. Tell me how you came to that conclusion. I want to know the ins and outs about it, and I'll tell you what I think about it.
People were also so high-strung and so wound up during COVID that it was harder to do that because people were stuck in their homes.
Very true, yeah.
Right? And so, like, you know, I had this one pedicabber message me saying that he wanted me to die in a fire. Because I was adamantly against lockdowns. And he was pro-lockdown because he's not very good at his job and he doesn't make any money. You know, not to talk shit, it's the truth.
For sure.
But would that conversation have happened had I just seen him every week and we just disagreed and argued? Probably not.
Probably not.
Right?
Yeah. That's the thing, man. And so, and like I said, I feel like social media plays a big part into it too, is that people feel as though they're having real discussions a lot of the times online, and it's really not, because when you're on an online heated debate, nobody is there to learn, and nobody is there to learn something or teach somebody something. They're there for a million other viewers to see. Like, you know, they're looking for a reaction, they're looking for a retweet, they're looking for somebody to be like, oh yeah, show them up, tell them what's up.
Yeah, dude, I'm a part of it too.
Yeah, for sure. Totally.
I'm a part of it.
Absolutely.
Especially
yeah.
now at these city council meetings, I'm a part of it.
I would agree. Yeah, you are a part of that, and that's something that I personally. That's one area that I try and stay out of altogether. I don't post a lot of things on my social media for, you know, whatever the issue is. I'm kind of just quiet because, like,
I feel like, generally speaking, remember the whole the whole silence is violence type shit, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not walking around comparing myself to like Rosa Parks or MLK. I'm not doing any of that. That's ridiculous and insane.
Yes.
But if you see something fundamentally wrong with society, and that fundamental problem could have a serious effect on how you and the people that you love live their lives,
then
if you have the ability to say something and act in a way that can stop it from happening, or to make or to change things in a better trajectory, you should use that ability. And I think that with how I communicate and with how I can operate my social media and how I make these videos, I think I have the ability to do that. And by not doing that, I'm doing not only myself but everybody around me a disservice, because I really believe strongly in what I'm making.
For sure. I see that. I guess there's just there's a point for me where it's like I like it when people are sharing to teach or to get the words out, but I feel like just literally the world as a whole has become obsessed with throwing stuff out there just so other people see that they're throwing something out there.
And I generally do that with my podcast episodes anyway. Like if you saw any of the
Yeah.
clips, like I always put clips up where both of us sound like our best.
Yeah.
Because I want everybody to talk to me. I don't want to be one of those people where people don't want to speak to me because I put people's words out of context. Like
Sure.
I don't want that reputation. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? People can think whatever they want about me, but at least they'll know that I'll present them in a good light so they'll talk to me.
Cool.
Right? I think that's important.
I think that is important, yeah.
I think a lot of the guys some of these guys from InfoWars, that's where they mess up when how they talk to people. So I like most of what they talk about, but
For
like
sure.
that's not that, like, you could also watch stuff and learn from mistakes, and that's one of the mistakes I see them make. So I try to not make those mistakes with what I'm doing.
Good. Refine the process a
Yeah,
little bit,
refine
right?
the process, make it a better, smoother
Exactly.
process.
Exactly.
So that's my take on it. I don't know. I think that's the thing, is like you got to talk in good faith. You got to genuinely believe in what you want to believe in, and not everybody is gonna feel the same way that I feel. Not everyone's gonna be about what I'm about, right? So
Yeah.
it's like
That's the beauty in it, right?
If everybody was, it would be boring. Like things would
Be boring, yeah.
It's like going to an event, right, where everyone's wanting to sell something and nobody wants to buy anything. Then it's
Yeah.
useless.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Like you need a balance.
You do. It's good. It's good to disagree. It's good to.
It's good. There's no greater hell than
healthy.
being around people that always agree with you about everything. It's
Oh,
hard.
God.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
I
sounds
hate
boring.
I hate it. And I was like scared too, man, with this whole thing, with this whole shit that came out, right? It wasn't like I really feel bad about so much like what happened, right? But I was like thinking, I was like, dude, man, I really hope this doesn't alienate people who think differently from me from talking to me. That was like what I was.
Because then you'd be missing out.
Then I'm missing out. Like
Yeah.
I'm not growing.
Exactly.
My
I
growth
love that.
stop.
Love
Like
that.
I'm
Love
not
that.
growing if that happens. I'm like, did this stop me? Like I hope that this doesn't stop me from growing. And it's like, all right, well, if you stop talking to somebody because they did something that you don't like,
Yeah.
or they phrase something in a way that you don't like, well, are you gonna stop? Are you willing to stop another human being from growing,
Yeah.
or allowing other people to grow? Do you know what I'm like? Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
like you coming on,
absolutely.
like I got a pretty right wing audience, right? Like
Yeah.
you coming on and openly saying that you're not vaccinated,
Yeah.
right? That probably is good. That's probably a good thing for acceptance. Versus that's probably a really good thing to like solidify you continuing to be accepted.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd hope so. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like at the end of the day, we're all just people,
We're all fucking
and,
people.
and
Who
life
cares?
life is shitty enough before we throw in the addition of us yelling at each other and not having patience or not wanting to understand. I mean, just chill. I mean, it's fun. It's all in good fun.
I've had these abortion arguments with people too, and I'm like, listen, like, ultimately, you want the you want the gay dude that works at the coffee shop, right? Or the purple-haired lesbian who works at the coffee shop. Like, we're just throwing out stereotypes. Like, you don't want these people voting for medical tyranny and digital fascism, right? Like,
Yeah.
you want to get these people to vote against that as well, because this is a unifying thing. And so when you start like trying to like harp on an issue like abortion that's intentionally divisive, like you can have your opinion on it, right? Like I personally am like, if my girlfriend got pregnant, I would hope that she didn't do that. But if you harp on that and make that like your big thing, all you're doing is alienating those people and causing a huge segment of the population to just vote for the stuff that you're trying to get rid of, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? Like,
well, yeah, the push on each other just drives out both sides even further out. I don't know, man. There's not a lot of sincere conversation and compromise and listening and teaching going on. The fire burns, and it just burns harder and harder.
I think there are certain things that you compromise on, and there are certain things that you should never compromise on.
Give me an example.
Guns.
You would never compromise.
Never compromise on guns. Never.
That's an interesting one, because
Never.
Where I'm from,
But I'd compromise on like
gun
abortion. But
place.
I'd compromise on like abortion or something like that, or I'd compromise on like student loans, or you'd compromise on like the environment, or you'd compromise on shit like that. But I would never compromise on guns, and never compromise on vaccines.
So
or on central bank digital currencies. Like that shit should never be allowed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I'm definitely pro-choice if somebody wants to get an abortion.
Yeah, whatever, dude. I don't
There's no
care.
religious ties for me personally as a human being, so I'm like, do your thing. I could
Maybe like
care
after
less.
like maybe you shouldn't do it when they're like about to give birth, right? Or when like
agree
you
with
know
that,
like
yes.
some of that shit like when it's like after birth
I
abortions.
agree.
I'm like you're that's literal murder, dog. Like what do you do? You like that gets a little crazy.
I agree. I agree. But like when it comes to guns, I'm from a pretty small rural area. People love their guns. I have lots of family that goes hunting. It's a little more tricky for me. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think that or know if the pandemic of the shootings happening in America is a result of guns being readily accessible, or if it's a result of people's minds getting warped from all the dark stuff out there on the web and the internet and this and that. So I wouldn't say that I'm down to take guns away, but I also think it wouldn't hurt to have a little more measures in place for things.
Well,
So,
Kevin, you want to know some fun facts?
yeah.
The majority of mass shooters have a patented history of torturing animals at
And see
a very young age.
Well, there you
Okay,
go, yeah.
so if you have a patented history of torturing animals and you have more than 2 documented cases of you torturing animals as a kid, the FBI and these agencies should be monitoring you a lot better so that you don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you should restrict gun ownership, but if you have a patent history of abusing animals, it's like that usually is like what mass like that's the one commonality that mass shooters all have is torturing animals.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
So maybe that could be like the maybe one thing is like, if you have a patent history of torturing small animals, like that should be a thing. Also, you should have to have an ID. You shouldn't be allowed to have a social media account until you're 18. You just shouldn't be allowed to, and you have to show you have to show identification with proof of age to even get one of these, to even have a social. Like you have to enter your driver's license or an ID.
Well,
No,
yeah.
you have to be because how many bots AstroTurf establishments that sound insane, and you scroll through that shit makes you insane.
Yeah.
When like nuclear family is dissolving and people are spending way more time in front of a screen, and now you got bots that are like deliberately designed to
show
sound
you,
crazy and make you crazier. Yeah, you should know that the person that you're talking to on social media is an actual human, and you shouldn't be exposed to this app until you become 18 years old. And it's not like the government should have this information, but the tech company should say, okay, well, you got to show us this. This is what you have to do to use our product. And if you're not willing to, they should be a huge fines or something like that. That's a reasonable measure that I think could just stop this in its tracks.
Interesting. I don't know the logistics on how it would work out per se.
Show your driver's license or you can't use the app. That's how.
So it'd be
Show your
by
ID.
app, yeah.
Yeah, you have to show your ID to show that you're 18 years old, and we need to know that you're an actual human.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think I do like the idea of people under the age 18 spending less time on something as consuming as
they shouldn't be
social
spending
media.
any time on it.
I
Go
agree.
play outside and be around people
yeah.
your own age. Like go be with your friends and have healthy social relationships.
Go
because
find out and discover what you know.
Go
and
play
what,
in
yeah.
nature, dude. Go roll around in a pond or go fishing. Go play baseball outside. Go
I
play
agree.
basketball.
I agree.
That's what I did when I was a kid.
Yeah, I played in the sand. I did all sorts of
Do
stuff.
all that stuff. It makes you
I have
healthy
a cell
and
phone,
less
so,
likely to
yeah.
commit mass shootings. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. There's a life epidemic right now. People are not living. That's the problem. People are just going through the motions. People are just scrolling every day. People are just texting and emailing. Nobody is living anymore. And I think if we could get back to living and truly enjoying the moments of the day and being people again and being, families and having true friends that exist in real life, a whole lot worse stuff is gonna happen, and we're gonna get back.
I've been living more after this week because I'm not trying to deal with all this hate I'm getting.
Right?
Yeah, so I'm like, oh well, you know what? Cool. Like that. There's a silver lining.
Dude,
like,
sometimes
I
I get
spend less
bummed out.
time
I
on
get
Twitter
weighed
and
down at
social
home.
media, and I'm doing more like actual activities. I feel good about that. It's like
Yeah.
when life gives you lemons, log off Twitter.
Absolutely, I agree. Because even I get caught up into it, and it's like, am I gonna go shoot up some schools per se?
Fuck
No,
no.
But I mean, I can feel myself get low or get dark or get sad or get mad. Man, shut the phone off, go outside, go meet up with a homie, go paddleboarding. Your whole day will change around. It's what we're designed to
Dude, I
do
haven't
as
gone
human
paddleboarding in
beings.
a minute.
Let me know, man. Let me know. Yeah. I'm telling you, we are designed as human beings to be enjoying this shit that's out here. The water, the trees, the earth. Like, it's here for a reason. Like, that's where we're belonging best. We're clouding our processors, our receptors with all this digital information. And
It's
that's
fucking insane, bro.
It's
It's
insane.
insane.
It's insane. And a lot more people would realize that we're a lot alike if we're out rubbing shoulders with each other as opposed to arguing on this thing all day. So.
Yeah, that's I cannot agree with that statement more. So Let's keep talking about guns though. How do you feel about the gun stuff?
Um,
Just want to know like what your take on it. Now I'll tell you why I feel the way I feel, and we can.
I think it boils down to where I am. I understand the right to bear arms, so I don't believe in taking guns away per se completely. I also don't see why there can't be just things in place that people have to, a couple hoops people have to jump through to get a gun. If you want a gun and you're a sane guy, I don't see what the issue would be to put a little more measures in place.
But it depends. So what's like? How do you quantify what sanity is?
That's the thing. I don't know how you do quantify.
How do you, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like, did you see Justin Trudeau's little gun thing
No.
about you can't buy a handgun anymore? Like they banned the
Oh,
sale
you
of
can't.
handguns in Canada.
Yeah.
Or like the process of being able to still have a handgun or go through, like you have to show that you're like not a threat to the government or a threat to safety or XYZ, and it's like, well, who determines that? Like, would I be considered a threat to public safety or XYZ because I say things that people are not agreeing with, even though I'm like
That's a good point.
emotionally stable and a calm person who doesn't want to go off and hurt anybody?
Yeah.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
like, so you know, how do you like? How does that get used? Does it get abused? How do you stop that from getting abused? It just seems like it just goes down a really dangerous.
Yeah. I'd say that basically any measures or preventive measures or hoops to jump through isn't going to weed out everyone, right? It's not going to weed out probably the majority of people that are going to do bad with guns.
I think that the more when you create these hoops, all it does is it gives people an excuse to just further take your rights away from you, or make you feel like you're taking your rights, or take away like some of your freedoms of expression,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden someone might not like something you tweeted like a month ago, and oh yeah, you can't own this gun,
Yeah.
because they might be using these hoops as a way to just deliberately deny you from owning a weapon and protecting yourself.
So
They might say, hey, you need to show an updated version of your vaccination status to be able to qualify to own a
Yeah.
firearm. Like you
Yeah.
don't want. I mean, we're not there yet, but I could see that. I could see that direction manifesting itself in that way. And so I don't think that that's a good idea to even to even go in that direction. I think you got to fight this as much as possible. And then you also look at like, have you been paying attention to, like the COVID lockdowns throughout the world?
Oh, not recently, no.
But when it started,
oh yeah.
did you not see like cops are beating the shit out of protesters, like anti-lockdown protesters, or people were like, not in this country, but in other countries, people were trying to go to like the people tried to go like open their restaurants, or people tried to like I don't know, go swimming or go fishing or paddleboard or do whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they were like surrounded by 10 cops with guns drawn at them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like seeing that made me realize how much I love living in America, because that stuff was not we have some fucked up stuff that happens here, but that was never happening in the United States. It made me appreciate a lot of stuff that I didn't really appreciate when it came to living in America. And one of those things I really appreciate is the fact that like, yo, we're an armed society. This is good. Like you look at what happened in Canada with the truckers. You look at what's happening in China with the lockdowns. People are starving or having to like climb out of their own windows to try to get food.
Yeah.
You look at how they did lockdowns in Australia. You look at anti-mandate protesters getting brutalized on a reoccurring basis all throughout Europe. And you want to do whatever you can to make sure that never happens here. And the only way to even attempt to ensure that is to make sure that that right never gets infringed in any capacity.
So
It's a lot.
So do you believe that there is any kind of issue with gun violence in America?
I think that the top 5 cities with the highest amounts of gun violence are in cities that have very strict gun control laws.
Okay.
If you look that up,
I think I've heard that.
it's
I've
like
heard
Chicago,
that
New Orleans,
before,
Detroit, all that stuff, right? So
Yeah,
I think,
they're also pretty big metro areas. Yeah.
yeah, but they also have very strict gun laws, so it doesn't seem like that would really be that helpful in terms of curbing gun violence.
Yeah. Perhaps.
Per-
So what do you because I believe there's like some countries like the UK, their police don't carry guns, and their I believe their citizens don't really carry guns either. Why do you think that their police force has success in I guess doing the daily job of a police officer without having a gun? I've always wondered. What are your takes
Well,
on
I
that?
think they gotta train the cops better. In general, like I think you should have to have like a blue belt in jiu-jitsu to even be a cop anyway. Like I've said that.
Yeah.
I ran a city council campaign saying all that stuff. That like
yeah.
you have to be training in a mixed martial art 3 times a week.
So
while
would you
you're
say
a
that
police officer. Like,
that the police in America could benefit from potentially more trainings? Trainings.
Yeah, I had a cop on that talked to me about like an ex-cop who's a black belt and talked about how they train the cops and what the problems with how they do it, and like the training is like a 1-week certification, and then the person who has the certification winds up being the one who teaches the next certification, so it just becomes this watered down like martial arts pyramid scheme versus like No one's forcing you to
Everyone
like
tried training,
to go
yeah.
train at it to go train at an MMA gym twice a week or 3 times a week with people in the community.
Yeah.
I think that generally speaking, if you like are with people in the community outside from your own boys in the department, it probably helps your mental health too. Because generally, when you're a
For
cop,
sure.
you only see people on their worst day.
Absolutely.
Whereas like, or nobody ever wants to see you. You go through life, no one wants to see you.
Yeah.
When you have that uniform on, nobody like very rarely do people want to see you.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
You go to the gym and
I'm
you start
sure.
training. All of a sudden, people want to see you. You look at society like in a happier, healthier way. I think a lot
Yeah.
of that stuff would. I think that's a big
Benefit
underrated
the
component to
individual,
like. Yeah, aid with mental health.
Yeah.
I think that like there shouldn't be marijuana requirements for cops either.
Meaning
Like
that
they shouldn't drug test you for weed to
I
be
agree.
a police officer.
I totally agree on that.
Yeah, like
I smoke weed every day. I'm a big,
Yeah.
I'm a big weed proponent.
Yeah, like they shouldn't drug test. Like I think that's dangerous. Like you pull somebody out of a vehicle, you had to you stop somebody from like robbing a store. You may have had to like pull out a gun on somebody, and you're stressed and now you can't sleep and you got to go into work the next day or 2 days later. Like,
Yeah.
how does that help anybody?
It doesn't. I agree. Cool. I think we share a similar sentiment on that. So.
Yeah, I think we share a lot of.
Yeah.
Share a lot of similar sentiments.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think we should budge on this thing. And then you also see people like Beto who don't do this whole gun thing any services anyway when they're like, oh, we got to go door to door and just start taking this stuff from people. So it like just keeps going and going and going and it just never stops, and that's what's like.
That's true. Yeah.
That's what's dangerous about it. So I'm like, maybe we don't do that. Maybe you address like what what's happening on social media. Maybe there's another rule that mainstream journalists cannot talk about a mass shooting or bring up what happened. They have 3 days to report on it.
Mm-hmm.
And after 3 days, you got to stop. You got to report on something else.
It is. It's just it's wicked. It's,
Yo, go look at. You're on your Twitter right now.
yeah, I have Twitter with it.
Yo, go look at. There's a guy named Bryce Newberry. Right now, he's one of the lead anchors for KView. Go look through his tweets right now. And we can wait. We're fine with this. I think it's important. Bryce Newberry. Look through his tweets.
Is it together? Is that the username?
Yeah, Bryce BRYC and then you'll see it. He's a KView anchor.
We're at about 15 minutes.
Huh?
We're at about 15 minutes of content. Right
50 minutes? Okay, that's fine.
Right.
I feel like maybe 5-10 more minutes. Yeah, episodes usually last an hour and 30. So
I'm on airplane mode. Give me 1 sec.
yeah, get off airplane. Let's just look so you can see what I'm talking about.
Crap. Bryce Newberry. Okay, so what am I looking for?
Just scroll down.
Oh yeah, it's just yeah, man, it's rough. It's rough.
Like 5 of these a day, 5, 6,
of
7
these
of these a day for an entire 9 days straight.
At that point, you're not sharing the news. You're trying to drive something home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. At this point, you're not sharing the news. You're not giving people an objective.
You're trying to push.
You're trying to push an agenda, and so
Yeah.
you understand why people feel this way about mainstream news reporters, and you can understand like how those feelings can manifest into stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it's sad because it feels like at this point, it's just it almost feels like an annual event, right? That something happens and all these heated issues, and then everybody takes the full month or 2 months to really just go at it at each other's throat, and then before you know it, it's the next issue, and they're going at it at that, and then next year you're back to that same issue, and it's like, what are y'all doing?
Look at what they did with COVID. Look at how much they talked nonstop about COVID.
Nonstop.
They did not do themselves any. I used to like talk shit about the media, but I thought it was like a healthy way. Like it was kind of more joking around.
Yeah.
After COVID, it's not like a lot of the stuff is not a joke anymore. Like
I can honestly say
problem.
I do not trust the media to a large extent.
They got people to hoard toilet paper back in March of 2020.
Yeah,
we didn't have toilet paper because of those people. So.
I think there needs to be a few more peer reviews before they just throw a headline out to millions to see.
And then a bunch of those people. Remember when all those people tried to cancel Joe Rogan and they were all going on a bandwagon saying that like, come on, dog, y'all, these people are well, people get angry when you hold up a mirror.
Very true.
And that's kind of what happened is like, you hold up a mirror and people get upset and it's just like, I'm just chilling holding a mirror up and that's it. I'm not doing anything. I'm just holding up a mirror.
Yeah, that's true. I like that.
Yeah, I'm holding up a mirror and I'm laying back. That's I don't know. That's really all. That's kind of where I'm at in this. Yo, do you got anything else you want to talk about? I think we talked about pretty much.
I think we covered quite an array of topics. No, I didn't have anything else I needed to touch on. You have anything?
I think we're good. I think we did everything.
One last thing. So
Yeah.
Earlier, you were suggesting that everybody should have IDs to get on social media. Then.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you reconcile that, and how do you feel about giving up privacy? And then all of a sudden, I understand what you're saying, so that you can't have bots and all that stuff. But then the trade-off is part of being a free country is being private and being not the freedom to be anonymous. It's kind of like you're going down that slippery slope the same way you are with gun rights.
I agree.
You think showing an ID to have to be 18 to go to use social media is?
How do you really enforce it without encroaching on people's civil rights?
Just showing just verifying your person.
Like what you're proposing is reasonable, sounds reasonable, but so does a lot of gun control stuff. It sounds reasonable, but how do you do either one? Because to me, they're the same. I don't want to give up my gun rights, but I also don't want to give up my privacy rights. I want the freedom to get online anonymously.
But you already use your name. I already use my name anyway when I go online.
By choice.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but that's a choice. That's fine.
I guess
you want to work under a pen name or pseudonym or something.
Yeah.
Well, then you're allowed. Okay, fine. Then you can do that, but you just have to verify to Twitter that you're a real person.
How can you trust Twitter?
Yeah.
Why would you trust
Who's
Twitter
I think that's a great point. I think it was a little surprising coming out of you that you would
Show your ID. Show maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
would like the freedom to literally pick up a random phone that I found or go buy a random phone and start doing my
shit
stuff
posting
and just existing, behind the scenes. Why do I gotta officiate everything in my life? Isn't already so much of it, And
sometimes it's necessary to post anonymously, like just for
absolutely for this.
You have something real to say. And
okay.
The price you pay for freedom is the risk.
Then it's gonna always get.
You know what?
Back.
That's actually
that's
actually a really good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. But listen, I think generally speaking, it's good to brainstorm and throw out ideas.
Absolutely. Well, that's how you.
That's how you brainstorm and throw ideas, and you want people to tell you when the ideas are bad, so you can jump to the next idea.
Right.
So that's.
Love that. That's why we have freedom of conversation.
That's why you have freedom. Exactly. And that's why you gotta have freedom. So who knows? But I know for a fact though that if you have a patent history of torturing animals, there should be a better way.
I thought that same thing.
Absolutely.
If to me the only way I've been able to think of so far, without that's going to minimize the chance of encroaching on people's personal rights, is if the schools and the parents. Obviously in this case, that kid's parents didn't know what was going on with him, but anybody who knows what's going on with this kid, they should be notifying the local weapons store, hey, this kid does this.
I agree.
Well, apparently this kid was on a registry. This kid was on a registry like 4 years ago where he tried to plot up shooting a school.
Well, see,
but that was hidden because he's a minor, and that's a legal thing. Whereas you can contact a private gun store and let them know this kid does this. And that way, he's already on their radar. He's on their personal. They can have their own private, the local gun store, or even the ones in the surrounding area that he might want to drive.
So easy to slip through the cracks that way, though.
That's sure, but that's
something.
Nothing. Because he literally went to his local gun store.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
Bought 2 rifles, which I'm perplexed as how he had the money. Like, did he really afford? Like, were they on discount or something? That he was able to afford with Wendy's?
That's another that almost. And then you see how it's being covered. It's almost like there is an agenda that is being perpetuated. Who knows? It's complicated. And the point is when you really
to the gun store.
Listen.
The point. I haven't seen much about the gun store.
Dude, the point is that this already gets complicated when we talk about it amongst ourselves. So how do you propose a bold, sweeping proposal right off the bat when it's already this complicated with 3 people just talking about it?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard. I don't know if there is a way, but I also don't want people to keep dying. But I don't.
Yeah, but the way our mental health is deteriorating. You don't think that these mass casualty events are gonna?
I think there'd be an unbelievable amount of work to undo.
The deadliest massacre in history had nothing to do with guns. It was a school massacre. It was called the Bath School Massacre.
Massacre.
Yeah, he blew them up.
Yeah.
Blew them up.
So there's a lot of that stuff.
I'm a big believer in evil is evil, and they're gonna do evil regardless of what the whatever medium they have, right? So.
There was a dude who ran over a bunch of people in France.
Yeah, it's just you can do.
Yeah, and then you look at what happened in Wisconsin, where like a guy ran over a bunch of people with his truck at a parade, or his car at a parade, killed like 10 people. And it was right after the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. There's all this shit. And the media was literally saying this is a white supremacist, and they hammered down this talking point that wound up being false. And 10 people died in a parade because
Yeah.
of that narrative, and there's no accountability for any of these people.
Well, that's the problem.
None.
Is everybody wants to focus on one issue and mold it into the issue instead of actually focusing on what it really might be. And so right now, ever since this most recent unfortunate shooting in Texas, it's gun control, gun control, gun control. But it's like, was that really the problem at hand? Was that the problem at hand, or was it the problem of how did this kid get so messed up in the head, and what was he exposed to, and what was he a part of day to day that we can now use to look out for the next time, right?
Yeah, and also, why is the media still talking about this? Because these people are literal narcissistic psychopaths who thrive on this stuff. So the more you talk about it, the more you encourage the next person to do the same thing. That stuff is all true.
Yeah. And we have 2 months of headlines now, right? Even though it's not 2 months worth of
Yeah,
news,
this is the most attention he's ever going to get in his life, and he's reveling in all of it.
Yeah.
And it's gross.
It is gross.
It's absolutely gross. And anybody who's actively facilitating and playing a part in it is gross as well. I think I'm probably done talking about this shooting.
Yeah.
I think that's my thing is I refuse to talk about it anymore. I don't want to share anything. I just refuse. Well, I'm not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It seems like
I'm done. I'm done. My timeline is just like I'm done talking about this.
Well, we can't because they're always gonna use every single one to like.
Hey man, nobody's talking about nobody's talking about all the crazy shit that went down at that was going down at Davos this week. That stopped. That totally stopped.
Yeah, I don't know. I wake up every day with an energy tank. I look at it like a gas tank, and I have to divide it up and give it to certain people in certain situations. And I'll be honest, by the time I get home every day, I like to save a good chunk of that tank for myself. And so a lot of these times, these conversations, if I've already heard it, I don't need to be a part of it anymore. You know what I mean? You guys carry on. I'm good. I gotta save a little bit of this for me.
I haven't really been paying that much attention to the shooting stuff either.
For sure. But it's just a general rule of thumb I use in life on a lot of things. Like if somebody's not willing to learn or listen, and I'm not getting much out of it, I'll just save my tank. I'll save the energy.
Dude, I was gonna go fishing or go to the gym literally right after this. So you gotta do it, man. You gotta keep your mental health intact. It's the most important thing you have.
You can't give everybody and everything all of you. You know, you just gotta.
Nah, and you should never feel bad about not being able to.
No, never.
And you should never feel bad because you can't solve the world's problems.
No, you have to have your back first. You gotta have your back first.
I think a lot of people, especially when they're young, that younger generation falls into the trap of they see a bunch of social injustice going on everywhere and they feel sad, and it makes them feel like really sad and angry, and then they're like, I have to do something.
I have to be at
the
forefront of this.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like woke white woman syndrome.
Yeah, well, they
this is not your battle, dude.
They lose themselves in these intermix of chosen identities, right? Like I'm this now, I'm this now, I'm this now. I'm like, people just got to really get back to their core of.
You know what I want to fucking ask? Let me ask one thing before we go.
Sure.
What's up with the Ukrainian flags at Halycon?
There's a customer, a regular there that's from Ukraine that put them there.
Because it doesn't make sense to me. Like I'm like, this is like because this is what I was thinking about this entire time, and I just totally spaced on it. All right, and then after this, we're like,
out of all things, okay.
Well, no, because like in Ukraine, like this is a very LGBTQ friendly spot, right?
So that's funny because I've asked my staff. That's okay. I'm glad that's the route you went with. Is I walked in one day after they had been there a while, and I'm like, hey, like. I was like, why are these here? I get the whole thing's going on. They're like, oh, well, Nikita brought it in. And Nikita's actually, like, he's a pretty queer individual, really discovering himself. That's why he hangs out there a lot. And I was like, I'm not trying to be the sour guy here. I was like, but you guys do know that in Ukraine, like, being gay, anything like that, it's really not cool. I was like, I used to watch these YouTube videos where two men would walk down the street holding hands as an experiment. And I'm telling you, people would just bombard them, harass them, hit them. And I was like, so it's a little of an oxymoron, but I guess I don't know. It's funny, but I did have the same question, and none of them realized it. But
it's still there. But it's still there.
Anti-queer country flag in a very queer space. Yeah.
It makes and then you got the Azov battalion,
but
which is actual Nazis that like I'm like, dog.
But I think besides the point of Ukraine being a country that maybe isn't very LGBTQ friendly at all. We can see that there is a greater problem there of them literally losing their home and losing their lives. And sometimes I've learned I have to set aside my personal issues, knowing that there's a greater issue at hand that needs help.
Yeah, right? I don't know, man. If I was gay, I don't want see that flag.
Yeah, see,
water's
off a duck back
like,
for me.
Dude, if I like, that's what I'm saying. Like, my mom grew up in a communist country, right? She grew up in Russia, and stuff like that. And they used to like kill Jews in communist countries. Yeah. Right, and it's like I don't want to see being Jewish. I don't want to see a communist. I don't want to see a communist country's flag at my job or my place of business. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. I could easily have said I don't want to see a Nazi insignia, but I didn't want to say that because it's not quite there yet. But like, it's kind of on the same like. It's in the same line a little bit.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I pick and choose my battles, and
I mean, I'm not gonna yell and harp.
I
It's like
just
it's like a
don't
Larry
care.
David. I'm not gonna have Larry
Yeah.
David moments where I just go
Yeah.
off on that. But it's a hypothetical question,
Yeah.
and it's something I just don't understand. And it's also one of those things too, man.
I'm sure
where
they're
it's
there
like,
for a lack of ignorance. You know, if the staff put two and two together, it's just a lack of ignorance. It's them jumping on the train.
and
Right?
I want to support the current thing.
Yeah, everybody was doing the Ukraine thing. Somebody brought him
So
in.
let's do
Woo,
it because
woo, let's
yeah,
do
let's
it. It's-
yeah. But I think it's like critical thinking's important.
World
man,
issues
when
are
you're-
becoming fashion fads. It feels like,
And that's
It's,
not
you know,
good.
It's
That's
not good.
not
what's
good.
what's the new cool thing? Okay,
Yeah,
that's done. What's
not
the next
good.
thing?
That's not good because
It's
it
not,
never
it's
becomes.
terrible.
It's never genuine.
But that's how it feels to me as just
so
watching things unfold.
don't perpetuate the problem and having that flag is literally perpetuating the problem. My
I didn't
opinion.
put the flags there, man.
No, I know. I'm asking a question. Just like you're shit talking my shirt.
Yeah.
I'm
Shit-talking the
I'm
flag?
shit talking that flag because that doesn't.
Hey,
make
you
any
put the
sense.
shirt on. I didn't put the flags there, so.
Okay. All right. Oh, all right. Fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point. But also, we're setting $40 billion to these people when like
Yeah,
everybody
that's
here is struggling, and people are struggling with student loans.
For
People are
sure.
struggling with like inflation. People are struggling with gas prices. They're struggling with like food prices. So it's like, oh, are you really trying to like? What else are you encouraging with that? So that's my
Yeah.
micromanagerial
Sure.
stance on that. So I'm
All
glad
right.
we brought that up before.
Yeah,
we,
good different perspective on the flags for me.
Is my question, dude. That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, Kevin, how do we get a hold of you?
Who wants to get a hold of me? I mean-
Anybody, whoever wants to.
I mean, if you'd like a drink, a really good cocktail, you can catch me at Halycon Thursday through Sunday. I'm there Friday and Saturday every week at night. Social media, just Kev. If you type that in, it should be _just_Kev. If you want to look at my cool pic, shoot me a message. You can find me there. Otherwise, you probably don't really need to contact me. So, yeah.
All right. Hey, Kevin Reed, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. You're the 100th episode, bro. I'm
Yeah,
excited
it's
that
been
we
a
did
pleasure.
this. This is a lot
I'm
of
glad
fun.
we got to,
This
it's
was
been
so
great.
fun, yeah.
I hope you guys enjoy it and take something from it. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Thought that was great.